Hello, everyone. Hope you're all well and that you've had a good week. Looking to see who's here. So today we're going to continue with Master Shantideva, our last class, unfortunately, for this session with Master Shantideva. As you probably know, he's one of my favorite teachers and guides. I love the way he thinks and communicates. He's just so clear and spot on, as they say in England, but spot on. So let's take a moment first to settle in and take refuge by thinking about why we're here. Probably if your life were going perfectly, if your relationships were always sweet and what you wanted them to be, if you or anybody else you knew was never sick or suffering, if no one was ever hungry or in need of something, or if no one ever fought or argued. We would have no reason to come to these teachings. In fact, we wouldn't be in this place we call samsara, a broken world. So we take refuge from this broken world into these teachings about seeds and pens and two husbands in the kitchen. About where all our suffering and happiness come from. For me, I came to these teachings because I was looking for something to help me understand why one day could be so good and the next not. Why I couldn't have the sweet relationship I wanted with my husband all the time. I was looking for answers, and for me, this is where I found them. So let's take refuge in our not being satisfied with just accepting what is happening in our lives. Let us take refuge in the teachings of Lord Buddha, the realized one, the totally enlightened being. And in those teachings that so many have looked deeply into and helped to explain them and illuminate them for us. So that we can follow in their footsteps and illuminate them for others, because we too have walked on this path. Come back to class, open your eyes. So I invite you, before you sit down to meditate, to think about why you're sitting down to meditate. Or before you go to a class, before you study, think about why you're doing it and for whom you're doing it. So with that, we're going to embark today and tomorrow on the last class with Master Shantideva. So let me pull up my PowerPoint for you. Oh. So here we are in part 3 of the great ideas of Buddhism. This is ACI 18, the last of the open classes, and we're in class 3. We are reviewing ACI 12, which is the Guide to a Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And we're in the third part of it, which is all about understanding emptiness. It's all about wisdom. So this is his wisdom chapter. Chapter 9. The chapter on wisdom, we kind of call this the infamous chapter on wisdom. It's very famous. I'm going to remind you of the story of Master Shantideva in case you don't remember it. So Master Shantideva, also known as Mr. Three Thoughts, because all he thought about was sleeping, eating, and getting rid of what he ate. pooping. That's what the people in the monastery thought of him. They didn't think particularly highly of him. They thought he was a lazy bum and just sat around, didn't participate in things in the monastery, didn't appear to be very smart. And so there was a group of monks who thought, oh, wouldn't that be cool to just totally call him out, to embarrass him in front of the whole monastery, because he just doesn't do anything. So they went to him and they said, oh, Mr. Three Thoughts, Busuku, would you like to come and give us a teaching about something that the Buddha taught? He said, oh, I'll think about it. And he didn't respond right away. So a few weeks later, they came back to him and asked him again, oh, please, holy Busuku, would you please teach us some Dharma? And I don't know, I don't really feel like it. And they just kind of he just kind of blew them off, right? So some more weeks passed, and then they were like, we gotta really catch this guy out. He's just sitting in his room. We've got to do something. Otherwise, we need to kick him out. So they came to him again, the third time. And they asked him very kindly, they knelt down and they took off their robes. Please, Master Shantideva, would you kindly teach us some Dharma? We know that you're very wise, and please teach us the Dharma. And he was like, oh, okay, I guess so. Would you like me to teach something that's already been taught, or would you like me to teach something new? They thought, ooh, now's our chance, right? Why don't you teach something new that he had written, right? Why don't you teach something that is new and that you have to tell us? And so he agreed. And on the day that he was supposed to teach, all the monks got together and they piled all of the cushions on top of the throne as high as they could make it before he came into the hall. And when he came in, everybody was laughing and trying to keep quiet. And they thought, oh, Master Shantideva, let's see if you can get up onto these cushions. They were like 3 meters high. Master Shantideva just comes in very relaxed and nonchalant. He touches the throne, and in a moment, he's on the very top of all of those cushions. And everybody's like, oh, what just happened? He's showing his magic powers that they had no idea he had. So you can see here in this picture, he's sitting on the throne and he's teaching. And he teaches all of the book that we've already studied. And then he gets to the 9th chapter. And he starts teaching the 9th chapter. And as he's teaching this chapter on wisdom, he begins to rise up off of the cushions. And he rises higher and higher and higher, goes out through the roof of the assembly hall while he's still teaching. And you can see here in this part of the picture, down here in this lower left corner, the monk's trying to hear what he is saying. And some of them are very, very deeply practiced practitioners, and they have clairvoyance, and they can hear Master Shantideva as he's floating off into the sky, teaching chapter 9 on wisdom. And he continues to rise up, and he flies away from the monastery. And everybody is like, what just happened? We thought that we were going to expose this lazy guy, and he is the most wise and learned of all of us. What did we just do? He's gone now. We just lost somebody who could have taught us so much because of our foolishness. So they sent out a search party to try and find him. And they finally found him years later in South India. And they begged him to come back and teach. He said, no, I'm not coming back and teaching. But if you go into my room, up on the rafters, you will find a copy of the Bodhisattva Charya Avadara. So they were disappointed and also very happy that there was a copy of what he had taught. And they went back to the monastery, and they did find the book. So the bottom line really is that this chapter is a little difficult. He taught it as he was flying up into the sky further and further. Wisdom, the understanding of emptiness, is a difficult subject. And if we want to understand it, we need to find a teacher, and we need to serve that teacher. We need to serve others, poor people, lonely people. We need to study, and we need to meditate. And we need, not just to study, but to take what we've studied into our lives. So that's the recipe, as I said in my response to somebody else, to be able to have deeper and deeper understandings of emptiness. So in this chapter, we read about how and why what we're thinking and doing is causing all of our pain. Why? Why does misperceiving the world cause all of the suffering in the world? Like, what am I doing wrong? And why does that cause me pain? Why does how I'm sitting here seeing all of you in the wrong way, thinking that you're coming this way, cause me all of my pain? And Master Shantideva, he insists that we must see emptiness directly to eliminate all of our mental afflictions in their entirety, all of them, totally, not just one or two, but all of them. And how to do this is explained in a Madhyamika text, which is the highest philosophical school of Buddhism. And it's a text by Lord Maitreya, dictated to Arya Asanga. And he explains this in a text called the Uttara Tantra. Now, Tantra here doesn't mean the diamond path, right? It means a teaching at this point. And Geshe-la taught the Uttara Tantra right before the opening of Diamond Mountain University in 2004 in Tucson. It was our opening class. In English, it's called the Higher Line. And in Tibetan, it's called Gyu Lama. It is not a Tantra, right? Tantra also means stream or line. So that's why it's called the Higher Line. In Lord Maitreya's presentation, he creates this bridge for us of each step that is created that causes us suffering. So he begins with, oh, so you're looking at things the wrong way. To, well, how's that supposed to help me if I look at them differently? Like if I look at you differently, how can that help me? So the bridge explains why the way I perceive things is causing all of my pain, and then how I can fix it. It's super practical. So the following 6 steps that we're going to go over explain the cause of all of our pain. And it's a very, very precious teaching because it explains how emptiness is going to get you out of it. Is that the next slide? Yeah. Sorry. So it all started before birth. We have this bacha. We have this seed. We have a seed in our mind that was planted in the past, continually planted in the past, in all of our past lives, to chronically misunderstand our world. And we are born with that seed in our minds. So you can see here, bakchak. Ni is 2. And dangsen, it means self-existence, holding on to something as self-existent. And dak itself, let's see, where's my pointer? Dak itself means me, or nature of its own. So it is this holding to this nature. Zen is to grasp. And come on, cursor, where are you? And you means you've got it. So seeing things as existent, 2 seeds, you got them. So we have these 2 seeds of seeing me, this being, as self-existent, and my parts. That's what mind means, right? So we're born with these two seeds. We're born with this habit of seeing ourselves as a whole, independent, self-existent me, independent of how we are projecting that view of me. So there's an irony in our lives that this suffering that we go through is triggered by trying to grasp to something that doesn't exist, never did exist, and never will exist. It's like that two-headed purple elephant rampaging through your room right now. And if you're born here in this realm, and you're not an enlightened being who's come to help all of us who played around in class for eons and eons of our lives, then you have this misunderstanding. So either in this realm, you're an enlightened being, an emanation of enlightened being, or you're a schmuck like me. You're just a normal person like me. Who's who? I don't know, but it gets pretty suspicious sometimes. Like, you are all probably enlightened beings, just getting me to teach this stuff so that I can get enlightened in this life. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So we don't think about it, these seeds, they're just there. We're born with them. You think of an infant, they're totally wrapped up in themselves and me and what I need right this minute and now. So we've carried this seed. We have this tendency. We have this bakchak, this potential, this mental potential from our past lives without beginning. When was the first life? Can there be a first life? There has to have been a life before that, right? So endless, countless lives. And it's in our minds with our first, at least with our first breath, if not when we're in the womb, this seeing things as self-existent. So that's the first step. We're born with it. The innate seed to see me and mine. We're born with it. We're stuck with it. The second one is Dangzhen Nikkei. These two seeds, to see ourselves as me and mine, they ripen. And they cause us to grasp to me and mine, to self and things. So you can see how first we have the seed to see me and mine. The second one is you see it, so you grasp to them. And you hold on to them as believing that that is true. How long does this take? 1 millisecond after you're born, or 1 millisecond after your first conscious thought which is probably in the womb. You know, it's like, oh, there's not enough room in here, or it's hot, or why did she eat those onions again? They're giving me a tummy ache, right? It's too wet. So the first conscious thought you have, it's already infected by this misunderstanding. 24 hours a day, day after day. And unfortunately, unless you've seen emptiness directly, you've never had a thought not infected by it, by this tendency to see things and to grasp to them as being self-existent. Am I conscious of doing it right now? No, I'm not. But it's there, and it's there in every kind of living being, from the smallest little amoebas up to the giant elephants, right? Every life form. Is there a pen here? But on this side, can probably see it better. Is there a pen here? Yeah. Am I perceiving a pen? I'd say yes. I'm perceiving a pen, right? Am I correct in saying I'm perceiving a pen? Sure. I'm correct in saying I'm perceiving a pen. But there's some kind of overlay on the pen. There's some kind of feeling, some kind of mode in which I'm perceiving a pen, which is wrong. It's the way I hold it to be. It's the way I assume it to be, the way I feel about it. And what is that? Oh, that it came from the drugstore where I bought it. And it's about half empty of ink, and maybe I should go and buy some other pens. So this feeling that I'm having, the way I'm thinking about it, is holding that it has some self-existence, some nature of its own. Intellectually, I know that it's coming this way, but of course I see it still coming this way, even when I'm talking about it coming this way, as a projection of my mind. So we can isolate, we can think about it, how we feel about the pen, that it is substantial, it's self-existent, it came from the store, etc. Right? So even as I'm talking about it and knowing that, or at least understanding, because I haven't seen emptiness directly yet, understanding that this pen came from somebody needing a writing tool, am I giving it to them? Yes, it came from the store, but why was it in the store for me to buy? Why did I have money to buy it? Why am I fortunate enough to have factories that make pens, that someone invented a pen? You know, probably the first things to write with were either things that you carved with, or maybe a stick that had been in the fire with charcoal on the end that you could write with. right? So we're misunderstanding and we're grasping to this self-existence of me, this whole, and mine, my parts. So from then, because we're grasping to me and mine, me and my parts, we like things and we dislike things. Things are attractive or they're unattractive. I like this pen. I don't like this pen. So Sulmin, you can see it highlighted here. Sulmin means wrong way. And Nije means that we're thinking of it the wrong way. Do you like it? Is it pleasant or not? It doesn't mean this general thinking of the pen. It's thinking about, do you like it? Do I like the way this pen writes? Do I like the way it feels in my hand? Or would I rather have something else? Is it pleasant or is it not? So this is a very crucial step in the process. Is it okay to like and dislike things? Is it okay to dislike that people are hungry in the world? Is it okay that there are numerous countries where people are suffering from bombs falling on them? Is it okay to accept all of this suffering in our world? Do you have to like it? Should you like it? Of course not. You think Buddhas and enlightened beings like to see us suffer? No, it hurts their hearts. They don't want to see us suffer. But we need to understand where these things are coming from. The unpleasant things are coming from our seeds of harming others. The pleasant things come from being kind to others. And Arya Nagarjuna says, as long as a person possesses the habit of grasping to the heaps, that's me and mine, right? The heaps, as true, for just this long will they also grasp to the thought that these are me. My finger is me. My hair is me. You think about people who have diabetes and maybe they lose a limb, a leg, or part of a leg because the blood doesn't circulate to their leg anymore. When they lose a leg, do they lose a part of them? Do they lose me? No, there's still a me. There's a little, they've lost a limb, but there's still a me. Where is that thought of me coming from? What is me? Who is me? It's a really good meditation question to go into it and question, where is me? Who is me? Think about it. Right? Also now, think of your favorite ice cream. Maybe it's chocolate, maybe it's raspberry sorbet, maybe it's something else. And that pleasantness in that chocolate ice cream or that raspberry sorbet is coming from that particular ice cream. The chocolate is what's giving me pleasure, right? The ice cream has a quality of pleasantness. So I like it. I like the chocolate ice. Well, I like chocolate and raspberry. Maybe not everybody does. So is it coming from its own side? Why do I grasp to that particular one? It's like, oh, I want the chocolate. You can have the raspberry sherbet or sorbet. I don't like that so much. You can have that. It's this liking, grasping to things, and disliking, grasping to the disliking, that causes all of our suffering. And if it were true that it was coming from the ice cream, the pleasantness was coming from the ice cream, we would only ever have one kind of ice cream in the world, because everybody would like the same kind of ice cream. Be pretty boring, wouldn't it? We fight about these things. Oh, my ice cream's better than your ice cream. And we also don't share and get someone the ice cream that they like. We impose what we like on them. So that quality of being the tastiest ice cream or the best ice cream doesn't belong to the chocolate ice cream. What's it coming from? It's coming from seeds of my having given somebody something they really liked in the past, some sweet thing. That is what's causing me to like or not like, to get and enjoy what I like. Why do I like it? Because I have the seeds to like it. It's not coming from outer space. It's, it's not inside the container of the ice cream. It's inside me. So that's a very, very, very simple and accurate description of emptiness. You don't need to think about black holes. You don't need to think about cosmic dust. You don't have to think about auras. You don't have to think about watching your thoughts as they come in, as they go out, or watch them go black, nothing there. That's the emptiness of chocolate ice cream. And everybody has their fate because of the seeds that they've planted. So this is number 3. What was the first one? We're born with the seed to see me and mine. The second one is grasping to me and mine, which causes us then to see 3 things as attractive or unattractive. So we are thinking of pleasantness in the wrong way. That causes us to create karma, negative karma, which then creates suffering. If we were thinking about it in the right way, we would give everybody their favorite ice cream whenever we had a chance to do it. What would you like? And what would you like? And what would you like? And we would do that. So, and every little time we do that creates a karma. And we know that karma grows, right? So it grows into, even if you just give someone a little bit of ice cream, it grows into a bigger amount of ice cream for you and to share with others, of course, because then you know where the ice cream is coming from. So the tendency grows to be attracted to something or to be repulsed, for something to appear unattractive, to things. So we grasp to things that we like and we push away things that we don't like because we think they're coming this way. We don't understand them. And we think that they're self-existently good or bad, that the person is self-existently good or bad, that we are self-existently good or bad. Okay? So it's okay to like and dislike things if you recognize that they're coming from your seeds and not from their own self, independent of your karmic projections. That's number 3. Number 4. So you're liking and disliking things ignorantly grows. This is the opposite of understanding where things are coming from. This ignorant reaction to ice cream. You know, what happens when you go to the grocery store or to the market to say shop for fruit and vegetables? Do you go through and look for the best one for you? Or do you leave the best ones for others? Or maybe there's a punsumba in the middle that everybody gets the best ones, and you take out the bruised ones and give them to the clerk and say, oh, these are bruised. Okay? So, duchakdan shedan ki, ignorant liking and ignorant disliking grows. What is intelligent liking? We're talking about ignorant liking and ignorant disliking. It just grows from number 3, which was just being attracted to something and being unattracted to something. We grasp onto that as being self-existent, and then our ignorance grows, so we ignorantly like and ignorantly dislike. Ignorant liking would be sharing what you have, giving the last spoonful of ice cream to somebody else, giving the last donut to somebody else. So there's a difference between ignorant liking and smart liking. Which one do you want? Okay. And then we end up in the center of the wheel of life. That's what this picture is. Ignorant liking is the rooster or the pigeon. Oops, let's go back. Right buttons. The snake is ignorant disliking. And the pig is ignorance itself. Ignorant disliking runs in our right-hand side channel. Ignorant liking runs in our left-hand side channel. And they wrap around the heart 3 times around our central channel, which is a channel of wisdom. But when it's choked by the 2 side channels, wrapping around it, it creates our ignorance, our misunderstanding, this seed that we were born with. So we have this subtle thought all the time of liking and disliking things ignorantly. Because we have this underlying seed that we were born with of believing things are self-existent. And that causes us to give others what we don't want, right? Or we can say yelling back at them. Or when they've treated us unkindly, if they've hit us, we hit back. It's the most natural thing to do. And it's the worst thing to do. It's natural because we have this dang seed we were born with. We feel like we're protecting ourselves. We don't understand that it's coming from us. So we have to examine our natural reactions to things, to what we like and don't like. Are our natural reactions to things serving ourselves and others? If they're not serving others, if they're not helping us, if they're causing more suffering, we have to overcome them, right? We can only have that natural reaction, yelling back, hitting back, criticizing back, if we don't understand where things are coming from. And you can only have that problem if you have ignorance in your mind. And you can only have that problem if you had ignorance in your past lives. So play these steps forward and backwards. And the last one, so what happens? We do something. We create karma. We create negative karma. We create positive karma, the cinnamon roll. So we do the 10 bad deeds, or we do the 10 good deeds. We kill or we save life. We steal or we are generous. We participate in sexual misconduct, or we keep our sexuality pure. We lie, or we only speak truth. We don't misrepresent ourselves. We say, I don't know when we don't know, or we apologize when we did something that hurt somebody else. We speak harsh words, or we speak again with kind words that do not harm. We gossip, or we just keep it to ourselves. Gossip can also be scrolling through X or WhatsApp or, YouTube, whatever it happens to be. That can also be gossip. And then there's craving, wanting something that somebody else has, right? And ill will, being happy when somebody gets something they don't want, and unhappy when somebody gets something they want. And then wrong view, not understanding the pen. These top 10, and especially as negative deeds, come into our minds and we do them. We gossip. We talk about somebody else. Oh, did you see so-and-so, da, 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 da. Or whatever it happens to be. So we have to watch these. And so we collect new negative seeds. So it's based on number 4. Ignorant, liking, and disliking the thing, the object. It grows. And then we find ourselves yelling back at somebody who yelled at us. The positive side is in your cafe, because you know about karma and you like cinnamon rolls, you make sure that there are cinnamon rolls and other things that other people like as well on your menu. That's being wise about it. So share what you like with as many people as you can find. Share what they like. Give them what they like. And enjoy it. Enjoy it because you know where it comes from, and it's going to continue to taste delicious, and it's going to continue to be abundant in your life, right? It's not wrong to like cinnamon rolls. It's not wrong to like chocolate ice cream. Just understand where the enjoyment comes from. Can you have your chocolate ice cream and eat it too? Yeah, absolutely, right? If you do that and you think about and understand where it's coming from, you will live in a Buddha paradise. Where if you think chocolate ice cream, it appears, right? You can be happy so others can be happy. You don't have to suffer so others can be happy. We're in the business of increasing the amount of happiness in the world. That doesn't mean you need to be unhappy so others can be happy. So get over those emotions, that have caused you to misunderstanding. In fact, those emotions are caused by misunderstanding your world, both the good things and the bad things. And that comes as a natural thing in your mind because you had a seed from a past life, and you have that seed in this life. You see things as good or bad, like or don't like. You feel this ignorant desire for them. I want, or this ignorant disliking. I don't want that, which means you didn't share your ice cream. So at some point, this immense light will go off in your head that this is what the Buddha really meant. So emptiness does relate to getting out of this cycle of suffering that we've just described here, that Lord Maitreya described for us. There is a connection between karma and emptiness and getting free of all of it. Thank you, Lord Maitreya, for explaining how this works for us. Number 6, we create the karma and we create this vicious cycle. We create a negative seed that enforces the seed that we were born with to see things as self-existent, which then causes us to grasp onto things as self-existent, which then causes us to like and dislike, etc. So what's the only way to have, let's say, raspberry sherbet for the rest of your life if you don't like it? Make other people eat it who don't like it. That's the only way to have it keep coming back to you. And keep chocolate for yourself. I've got the chocolate over here. You guys, you get the raspberry sorbet. I'll keep this one all to myself. That's number 5. That's because you like things and dislike things stupidly. Number 4. That's because you have this wrong way of looking at things as good or bad. Number 3. And that's caused by this habit you were born with because you had it in your past life. Oops, I skipped number 2. You grasp onto things as being self-existent. And that's because you have a seed that you were born with that you got from your past life. So if you understand emptiness and karma, you can stop responding to things you like or dislike ignorantly. You see how important the 2 are? These are the 2 wings to get to enlightenment. Understanding karma and how to use it. That's the method side, and the wisdom side is understanding emptiness. And they are married. They are 2 sides of a coin. They are married. So we can stop responding to things that we dislike or like ignorantly. We can stop collecting bad karma. And your life becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And then ultimately, because you've filled up your pockets with good karma, you eventually see things around you. And you get glimpses of it at first, turning into a Buddha paradise. This is what people need to understand. So try and share it with them. Share the idea of the pen. Because in it is karma, seeds, and pen, emptiness. right? Refuse to return violence with violence, anger with anger, yelling with yelling, selfishness with selfishness. Don't wait for the other person to do something. The wheel stops with you. You created them. You can uncreate them. You're the one who has to break the cycle. So where can we break this cycle? After all, we're born with this seed. Can we do anything about that? We were born with it. We can break it between number 4 and 5. If you're already feeling this dislike or wanting something selfishly, you're going to collect negative karma. Also, at 3 and 4, once you perceive the goodness of really my favorite ice cream, which is mocha coconut bliss, as being a quality of that ice cream, you're already in trouble. And I didn't give enough of it away because I can't find it anymore, unfortunately. So if you don't understand that the goodness is coming from you, from your side, you're already in trouble. Right? So at 3 and 4, it's already too late. 4 and 5, you're already feeling dislike and wanting something selfishness. Between 2 and 3 is where you can break it. So you stop thinking of things the wrong way. Yeah, it looks good. It tastes good. Only because I've been good and given somebody something that they enjoyed. So refuse not to share your ice cream. If you want more delicious ice cream. But if you don't share it. So let's go through them again. Number 1. We're going much too fast. Let's go from 6 backwards. We create karma, right? You have to move it. Which has caused our suffering. And we create karma because we did bad things to get what we wanted. And we did that because we don't understand where things are coming from. So we ignorantly like and we ignorantly dislike. And it grows. And that is caused by seeing things as good or bad from their own side. And that comes from these 2 seeds that we're born with, number 1, that we're grasping to those 2 seeds, grasping to self-existence of things and self. And that comes from the inborn seed. So if we can stop here, these 2 seeds of grasping to believing in the self-existence of things, then 3 won't happen, 4 won't happen, 5 won't happen, 6 won't happen, and it will slowly wear away at this habit of seeing things as self-existent. Cool? So this is the essence of Master Shantideva's 9th chapter. Practice this. Meditate on it, contemplate on it, go forwards, go backwards. Make yourself familiar with it so that you can recognize the moment that you need to stop this cycle of suffering. Thank you, Lord Maitreya, for telling Master Asanga about this, and for Arya Asanga to have written it down so that we can hear it and we can pass it on to others. So let's take a short break here. Let's come back at 16, we'll take 5 minutes. Let's come back at 16 minutes after the hour. Quick bio break. Take care of your body, whatever it needs, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. See you then. Can you guys see this? I can't see you for some reason. I'm gonna get, let's see, I'm gonna start again here. Come on. Share screen. All right, getting there. Nope. Sorry. Uh-oh. No, it just totally disappeared. Okay, class 3, PPT. Do this again. Come on. Open. Technical difficulties. It's still loading. Come on. There we go. All right. I think we're back. No, we're not. I still have to share with you. Share screen. Share. Okay. Ah. Here we go. What karma is that? It's my dyslexic karma and stopping the slideshow and starting the slideshow. But it's all an illusion, right? It's not real. It's all an illusion. Because it's not self-existent, right? If good and bad are like an illusion, how can they still work to give good and bad results? It's a really good question. If they have no self-existence, if they're just coming from me, from seeds in my mind, how can they function? Because they are a projection. Because they are coming from seeds in your mind is why they work. We see ourselves doing good. I was meditating this morning before class about something I did for somebody the other day. And, I went to the drugstore and I got their prescription and I see myself getting out of the car. I see myself going into the store. I see myself standing in line, going up and asking for the prescription and then getting it. I'm recording all of this in my mind. I see myself doing it. So I saw myself doing something for somebody else, serving somebody, doing something good. And that plants a seed to do good again. It also plants a seed for good to come back to me again. Right? So it's this upward cycle instead of the downward cycle of negative deeds that keeps us in samsara, that keeps us in a suffering world. So it has no relationship to whether the object is real or not. Real in the sense of self-existent. They are like an illusion because the person doing that, doing the deed itself, and the object of the deed only exist because they're a projection. They function perfectly well through projections to produce Tara's body of light, or Manjushri's holding his sword, right? Projections, we project, one of the ones Geshe Michael used to use in the old days, crossing the street in Manhattan, you project a taxi cab speeding towards you, and you project being hit, and you project having to go to the hospital and have your bones fixed. It functions, it works, because they are projections. If they weren't projections, if this water was self-existent, it couldn't change, right? I couldn't drink it because it changes when I drink it. It would be always the same, never changing, unproduced, right? So because they are a projection, it's really important to understand that they function. So let's talk about mental afflictions. Nomos, mental afflictions, mental affliction attacks. There are two ways to experience mental afflictions. Those which have already sprouted, they've already manifested, the Nungyurwa, or the Bakla Nelwa, which are the seeds that are sleeping, they're dormant, they haven't sprouted yet. It's those ones you don't know that you have in your pocket, right? Until you experience them, which is an interesting thing. You have these seeds, but you don't know you have the seeds until you experience them. But by the time you experience them, the seed is gone because it's already opened. That's Arya Nagarjuna stuff. Come to the Lamrim teachings and we'll get into that more. So we can't say that we have permanently eliminated our anger just because you aren't experiencing it in the moment. True nirvana is the total cessation or the total elimination of both of these kinds of mental afflictions. Both the manifest and the dormant seeds. In the Bodhichara avatar, in the Bodhisattva's way of life, in Contemplation 12, Master Shantideva talks about destroying mental afflictions forever. And he says that even a deep understanding of the 16 aspects of the 4 Arya truths is inadequate. It's not enough to eliminate the dormant seed from mental afflictions. And in fact, you don't really understand the 4 Arya truths until you've seen them directly, until you perceive emptiness directly. And that gives you the ammunition to get rid of the seeds. So this emptiness thing, but it's scary. It feels like I don't exist. What are you saying? I don't exist. That's scary. I'm here. I feel these things. I look down and I see a body. Someone says this to Master Shantideva. To think that we have no solid self-existence is scary. Master Shantideva then points out that tendency to see things as self-existent and it being the cause of all of our suffering, that's what we should be scared of. We should be frightened of that. So the wisdom which realizes emptiness, the direct perception of emptiness, is the cause for ending all the pain and suffering in the world. So we must meditate on it properly. Because it all comes down to misunderstanding me and mine. So let's go into, that's the seed for it. So let's go into two kinds of misunderstanding. There's the learned kind, the Denzen Kuntak. It's a learned form. You know, when we go to school or from our families, from our parents, from our churches, it's this learned form or learned tendency to grasp to things as being self-existent. This primarily depends on outside philosophical beliefs, such as through science. Oh, it's all has to do with, I was watching a program last night about the 90-something million synapses we have in our brains. And, you know, that's what's making us think that we are whole, but really we have all these pieces, or God, or chemicals, or that we came from the stork dropping us onto the chimney. All the things that we've learned from our parents, from our schools, from our friends, from scientists, from churches, from synagogues, from everything that we're surrounded with in our lives. The second kind, so the definition of a learned belief in self-existent are things which you learn to hold as being self-existently true. So this is those belief systems I was just talking about. And we believe in them. We believe in science. We believe that if we get sick, we go to the doctor and they give us some medicine and we'll get better. We do that, right? I do it. You do it. Sometimes we don't get better. Sometimes they don't know what's wrong with us. What's driving that? Seeds, 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 right? And then the second kind, the Denzen Lenki, the inborn, Lenki is inborn, and this grasping to, or this holding on to. That's the tendency we were born with, number one that we talked about, to see things as self-existent, me and mine. What is the definition of an innate belief in self-existence? It's that tendency, that number one. So this innate or inborn form of tendency of believing that things have some nature of their own, how long has it existed? We were born with it. Why were we born with it? Because we had it in a past life. Why did we have it in a past life? Because we had it in another past life. And so it's been with us since beginningless time. Does that mean that it is permanent? No. If we can see emptiness directly, it cuts that cycle. We will still see things coming at us, but we will no longer believe it. And not just intellectually, because we have seen directly how things ultimately exist. So when do we get rid of these two tendencies? At Tonglang, when we see emptiness for the first time, that's when the learned form, the intellectual one, is removed. It's removed during the path of seeing. As I said, you still see things coming at you as self-existent. You still see them that way. But after coming down out of the direct perception of emptiness, you no longer have any belief in it being that the way it appears. That's why it's an illusion. Because it doesn't match the way things ultimately are. The second one, Sagyepa, the 8th Bodhisattva level, is where the manifest form of the inborn form, the one you were born with, is removed. The first Bodhisattva level, since we're talking about the 8th, let's talk about the first one first, occurs when you see emptiness directly, with bodhicitta in your heart. And then the first 6 levels of the Bodhisattva path correspond with perfecting the 6 perfections in an extraordinary form. So we have Tonglam, and then we have the 6 perfections that takes us through the 7 Bodhisattva levels. And then we get to the 8th Bodhisattva level. And that eliminates this manifest form of misunderstanding our world. So one who has finished off their mental afflictions, by definition, has eliminated the manifest perception of seeing things as self-existent. You eliminate innate self-existence. Finally, right? So you have this whole path, we have this whole path laid out for us. So let's look at 3 wrong ideas. Master Shantideva presents these that we're taught. They're all based on a mistaken belief in self-existence, focused on how we see ourselves, where we come from, and what our ultimate basis is. So it's a sense that we have that we control ourselves. And this program that I watched last night, that was the whole question. How much control do you have over yourself and your mind? And it was with all these scientists. It was on public, it was a video that I could see on public broadcasting system, on PBS, on a program called Nova. And it went into the scientific reasons why we aren't in control of ourselves. But we think we are. We think that when we think to raise our hand, we can raise our hand. Have you ever been so sick that you thought to get out of bed, but you couldn't move? Or there will become a time when you're on your deathbed and you want to lift your hand to touch your loved one's face, and you won't be able to do it. So we have this idea that we're some kind of master. And our parts, our body, our minds, our conception of me are like servants that we can command. And when we think about being able to command our arm to rise, or for our mind to behave, to be quiet and don't argue, right? It corresponds to this idea that we have that there's this ever-present soul, or there's ever-present me, which is totally distinct from the parts of the person. Like there's some kind of independent soul separate from your mind and body that controls your mind and your body. Check it out for yourself. Are you able to control your mind? I know some of you here personally, and I know you have said, I'm having problems controlling my mind. Me too. Me too, right? Because, good old number one, we think that me and mine exist self-existently. So the second one is the tendency to hold to our ultimate reality lies in objective reality. Like we're made of cells, and we're made of atoms, and we're made of all these little pieces, these neurons and this and that. Partless atoms. They didn't realize back then, or maybe they did, but they call them partless atoms. Of course, now we think of atoms as having neutrons and protons, and electrons, and those have pieces as well. There's neutrinos, and they keep finding smaller and smaller partless bits, right? And it corresponds with science, thinking that that's how we exist, with these more and more minuscule bits and pieces, these hundreds of synapses and neurons and parts of the brain and how they send signals, etc. So we're made of tiny particles, which are our fundamental building blocks. This is the second wrong view. Or that your life is made of infinitely short, self-existent instances of mind. Like you are the sum total of all these self-existent experiences, little experiences, that's who you are? We believe that our life is a series of events of awareness, which have their own reality, independent of me. But the middle way school, the Madhyamika Prasangika school, says you're not the sum of your parts, nor any one of your parts. Like, you're not your hand. You're not your two hands, and your arms, and your head, and your torso, etc. What has to be there to create a me? There has to be an idea that puts all of those parts together and grasps onto it and says, that's me. It's a concept. Right? If I didn't exist that way, if you didn't exist that way, everyone would recognize you immediately. Like everyone would look at me and say, oh, that's Gyelse, right? Our karma forces us to impose particular identity onto these parts. I don't call this Natasha. I don't call this Kadrin. I call this Gyelse. I'm being forced to put together those pieces. And if you had never met me, would you know that I was Gyelse? Karma forces us also to see ourselves get sick, get old, and die. If we collect vast quantities of powerful good karma, instead of being forced to see ourselves get sick and old and die, we will be forced to see ourselves as an enlightened being. It cannot be stopped. We will be forced. So the truth is, no object is the sum of its parts. You can always break it down smaller and smaller. There's the top of the pen and the bottom of the pen. There's the top of the top and there's the bottom of the top. There's the top of the top of the top and there's the bottom of the bottom. And you can keep going down further and further and further. And you check it out. Does it ever stop? So until we understand this, until we plant the seeds to understand this, we will keep thinking that we are the sum of our parts, rather than a projection forced on us by our past karma. So we actually exist of nothing more than karmic seeds ripening. 65 per finger snap. We are walking karma. That can be scary. It can be liberating. So Master Shantideva says of non-Buddhists who ask the question, you know, if a person is changing moment to moment, who collects the karma? Is the person who experiencing the ripening of the seeds different from the person who created the karma? When the result comes around, is the person who planted the seed still there? or are they gone? Buddhists say you are a different person each moment, that you are changing moment to moment. You are the sum of your total karmas, which ripen at this rate of 65 per finger snap, right? Giving you all of your perceptions. As your karma ripens and flowers and wears out, you change. Some non-Buddhists, though, they said, if you're a person next year, how could the old you have created that karma as a new you? Since they're two different people. You're a totally different person than you were last year. And Master Shantideva gives 3 replies. First, he says, the person who collects the karmic cause and the person who experiences the result of that karma are not the same two people. He says that to the non-Buddhist, that the soul changes over time, and the person has also changed. So their person has the same problem. You know, that's what the non-Buddhists are saying, that the soul changes, and so the person changes. So they have the same problem that Buddhists have. A person who creates and the person who receives are two different people. And he says, no problem. Then he says, you know, it is impossible to experience the result at the same time as you create the result or create the cause. If it were the same person, then you would have to commit the deed and realize the result at the same time. And Master Arya Nagarjuna also talks about this. Can you have, as we talked earlier, can you have a seed and a result at the same time? Because if you are changing moment to moment, where do they touch? So the self must be a changing and fluid experience, not self-existent. The self is nothing more than ripening karma. And thirdly, he says, you know, it's okay that the person who causes the karma and the one who experiences the result are the same person going on in a stream. You can call the stream of karma over time one person. Although this continuing self that is flowing through time is not self-existently the same person over time. It is true, however, as your projections cause you to experience the continuity, you experience it as me. So he says, you know, that's okay. You can call your perceptions of yourself and my perceptions of 2 years ago, and all those moments in between, me. It's okay. Because we only exist in dependence on perceiving myself as me in this way. There's no other self-existent nature based on my parts and my experiences. It is my past mental imprints, how I treated others, that leads me to think of and perceive myself over a period of time as me. these imprints are asserting themselves as karmas, as seeds. So I am this constant flow and shifting of my karma. It's not that I have karma. I am karma. I am karmic ripenings, walking, living, breathing. And this allows me to change into a different type of being. By accumulating vast amounts of good seeds, right? I will become the ripening of those imprints, of those good seeds. I will turn into, meaning perceiving myself, projecting myself as a being who doesn't suffer and die. So what is the ultimate nature of me? Chashe ki sopa la tene tane tak san. Tak means to be called, and sam means merely. The sum of the parts of the object are not the object until you perceive them as being so, until they're merely labeled as such. Emptiness is the fact that nothing is self-existent around me. I'm not one of my parts. I'm not some of my parts. I'm not all of my parts. It's my mind that even labels them as my parts. And this is forced on our seeds that are ripening. I am karmic ripenings. Check it out. The dog says, hey, there's no such thing. All I can see is a true toy. Right? I go, wait a minute, that's not a chew toy. It's a pen. I can write a note with it. I can put something down on paper with it. I could draw a mustache on you. So check it out. Keep your vows well. For 6 months, for a year, check it out. If it doesn't work, you will get old. You will die. So what is there to lose anyway? There's everything to gain. You will gain more kindness. You will gain more compassion, which will cause you to be feel younger and healthier and happier. If you don't, you will be less kind. You will feel less compassion. And you will experience sickness, old age, and death. So by accumulating incredible positive mental imprints, bakchaks, seeds, karmas, I will become the ripening of those imprints. I will turn into a being who doesn't suffer and die and can show everyone else how to do it. So meditate on those 6 steps. Go backwards and forwards. See how they play out in your life. And begin to see where you can stop. Lord Maitreya has given us this chance in this life by creating this bridge and creating a pathway for us to stop our mental afflictions and to become a being of light who can stand on every planet while being in one place and bring all beings out of suffering. And that, my dears, is the end of this review of this part of Master Bodhisattva, as Master Shantideva's Bodhisattva's way of life, and we will continue it tomorrow as well. So let's take a moment here to dedicate all of what we've learned today about what causes us to create the suffering in our life and how we can break that cycle and how it's totally tied up with our seeds and how we treat others. And may we deeply practice this wisdom so that we can become the one who brings all of our loved ones and everyone else out of suffering. Let them know that you are coming, that you're working and working hard to become that being that they need to get out of their suffering. And see you all tomorrow, I hope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let me go to gallery view so I can see all of you. Yay, there we are. Thank you all. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for making this place, this world, a better place. Really appreciate it. Hey, Alex. That's a surprise. So thank you, everybody. Please practice. Please take care of each other. And see you all tomorrow. Come to Diamond Mountain so I can meet all of you. Please.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.